So you can see there, that focus in the image there is the 119, which if you think it's the 11 and the 9 together. And this is a soap opera called The End of the World from 1996. We do not associate End of the World and that number there. What really drew attention to me on this, it's not the theme, the end of the world, it's the coincidences involving a Dilma Rousseff lookalike that is in another episode. You can think like how they have the image of Dilma Rousseff lookalike purposely on this soap opera. So if I see that it's a cognitive bias, you can see how that cognitive bias play in here. Let's dive deeper. So you have the 11-9 there, and what's happening. If you know the historic process of impeachment involving former President Dilma Rousseff. So it happened in 2016. One of the main reasons why she was impeached. They found other reasons to impeach her, but the main event that caused a public outrage involved the tapping of her private phone. That story is known. That's what you can call the pivotal event. It's interesting, obviously, that's why I'm trying to show this. How is Dilma Rousseff 11-9 and the end of the world connected? You can see how, right? It's connected through this very short, brief soap opera of 35 episodes. You can see behind here, and this story has that level of witchcraft, wizardry, prophecy, because it's about a guy who prophesizes the end of the world. So if you see behind this, you can see a snake. You can see here, I'll show you. That's a snake made out of like a pareidolia, but snake is an image, right? It's a template. You can see certain movies like the ninth gate because it has like connection to occultism and witchcraft. You can see that image of a snake is there throughout the movie, right? Metaphorized beginning to end. In this soap opera, you can see it being metaphorized by other things like the member. Soap opera has a lot of, not just innuendo, but clear reference to sex. That's what I want to say. It's heavily referenced in this soap opera. You can see the association snake, sneaking. So basically, this is the end of a tapped conversation that reveals something that compromise the person and the person who was tapped. So basically, that's the mayor. You have to pay attention. This chapter 8, right there. This is the mayor. That woman we saw that was had her phone spied on is her. And here at the center, you will see this woman here. Look, you can see she stays right at the center. You can see, look, she's the only one who moves most. She's fidgeting, and that's definitely was a direction. You can agree. There's a lot more that I could point out, but the focus is on this, on the prophecy side. This is when the end of the world starts, right after this moment. I don't believe in this kind of thing, that the world doesn't end, it's people, right? People are just replaced, that's a new generation. You can see there how's the story of humanity. But what is spooky in this way, there you can see things that you almost see, is that a prophecy? Is that me seeing these coincidences? But just watch. She's here, and the mayor is entering now. So she turns here, I don't know if you can see. Observing, that might be purely coincidental. All this, but then you observe details, and she's going to be right between these two guys with hats. And those two guys, they will cross, and she'll be between them. Look. And that's the last time you see her in here. Next time she'll appear right here in the middle. See? It faded. You can even see. And that's her. That's the one I say. It's a Dilma Rousseff lookalike. Já venceu as nossas novas instalações. Eu quero convidar os senhores para conhecê-las e para como se bebe. Mas antes, umas palavrinhas.
Nesse momento, a nossa fábrica volta a funcionar depois de...
So we see her again. There's a lot of beautiful things to point out, but the focus is on this.
A Margarida.
But if you observe, maybe coincidentally, it's pointing out to her direct, like drawing more attention to that figure here.
E agora eu quero convidar os senhores para conhecer as nossas novas máquinas, as máquinas que eu acabo de importar, por favor.
To finish here, you can see her on the side here. I even going to get close. It looks so much to Dilma Rousseff. It looks a lot. It's not just me.
Até logo, Dom Escobar.
So you see that scene that we started, right? The 11 and 9. You see the idea that she was spied on, right? That can ruin her political career as a mayor. And the next thing you see, that's her. And you see this is a tower of a church, 2 towers. That's a normal engineering design, right? But one of the tower is falling, see? And you can see there's a clear association between this character and the tower. There's a lot here with other things too. But I could say, especially in this soap opera, right? There's like plenty innuendos, and there is like a conversation, a theme on male, dysfunctional. Do you know what I'm going to? Like they're a bit softy, let's just say. So that tower and that softness has to do with that. Another thing that you could say, it's about this, right? We call the alien and the line narrative, which is this composition of images that you see, and it clearly is made to look like a face. It has to do with like the whole world is either a machine or an entity, right? So you see eyes, you see things with like the world is alive. That's a very common. The hills are alive with the sound of music. You can see how that idea is there in the composition of everything, basically, that everyone writes. If it has a depth of knowledge there, how to inevitably you would fall into these categories, correct? And that's basically that. As I say, that is another representation of the member, but also that softness or that leaning tower means refers to this world that is alive, ever changing, not as concrete as we think. Correct. Now the other things are interesting. You understand the fact that the mayor was wired, and there's an 11 and a 9, and then this scene, and then when you go back to that scene, which is when the events of the apocalyptic events start, right up after that chapter there, that's when it starts. And you associate all this because after they're trying to portray their own prophecies, right? So they prophesied not only, they were not within the prophecy of the number, right? The 11 there, but also with the prophecy of the fall of a president, the impeachment. Putting things together here. I'm using my own cognitive bias to associate my stories to the end of the world, apocalyptic event.